What is sustainability? The practice of not being harmful to the environment by not depleting natural resources.
And meeting those needs in a way that is respectful to future generations, thereby supporting continual ecological balance. Here's a quick video on sustainability that we found interesting.
Sustainability means that things can keep going, can sustain themselves, can continue into the future, and go on forever. From a human perspective, sustainability for our planet means that it can continue to do what it was designed to do: provide fresh air, clean water, produce food, and allow us all to have a high quality of life forever. Unsustainability means that it cannot, and that is where we are now. 20 years ago, scientists in Sweden developed a definition for sustainability with 4 basic principles. These can be seen as the care instructions for our planet. If we follow them, it is good for our planet. And because we're part of the system that is our planet, it's good for us too. The care instructions are as follows: reduce our dependence on fossil fuels and heavy metals, reduce our dependence on synthetic chemicals that persist in nature, reduce our destruction of nature, ensure we are not stopping people globally from meeting their needs. Demand for the Earth's services, clean air, water, food, increases as the population increases and living standards rise. But the Earth's ability to provide these services is declining because of the way we're living. In our search for prosperity, growth, and success, we are destroying the system that we as humans are completely dependent upon: nature. We humans have become a threat to our own way of life. The Earth is a system and everything is connected: society, environment, and economy. To live sustainably, we need to follow the 4 care instructions and apply them to everything we do at home and at work. If we can follow these care instructions, we can work together to be sustainable. We will all have a better quality of life. We'll waste less, we'll pollute less, and we'll create more things we value in society, while improving our planet's chances of providing us with the very things we need to survive.
One environmental issue facing us today is deforestation. What is deforestation? Deforestation refers to the loss or destruction of naturally occurring forests, primarily due to human activities. Why is it happening? Agriculture is the leading cause of deforestation. 13 million hectares per year in South America and Africa and Southeast Asia is converted from a forest to an agricultural land. Logging operations cut down trees for the world's wood and paper products. Almost half of the world's timber and up to 70% of paper is consumed by Europe, United States, and Japan alone. Other causes of deforestation include natural factors like wildfires destroy forests. There were a total of 67,774 wildfires in 2012, which burned over 9,326,238 acres. Fuel such as firewood and charcoal can be made through burning trees. Fuel, wood, and charcoal represent 90% of all wood harvested from African forests. When wood is burned, the same amount of carbon that was absorbed over its lifespan is emitted. Demand is also high, with 83% of the population in sub-Saharan Africa using wood fuel for cooking. Businesses such as bakeries, blacksmiths, breweries, restaurants, and brick makers also depend on wood fuel, making more land available for housing and urbanization by cutting down or burning trees. Today, the world's human population has exploded from an estimated max of 15 million in prehistory to the 7 billion humans of today. With increased populations also come increased urbanization. Why is it important? Loss of habitat for millions of species. 70% of Earth's land animals and plants live in forests and cannot survive the loss of their homes. Up to 28,000 species are expected to become extinct by the next quarter of the century due to deforestation. Not only is this a biodiversity tragedy, but also has negative consequences for local populations who rely on the animals and plants in the forest for hunting and medicine. Also, deforestation drives climate change. Without the sun blocking of trees, forests' moist soil dry out. Trees also help with the water cycle by returning water vapor back into the atmosphere. Deforestation also contributes to temperature swings. Trees block the sun rays during the day and keep in heat at night. Trees play a critical role in absorbing greenhouse gases. The loss of trees means larger amounts of greenhouse gases entering the atmosphere, potentially speeding up global warming. Loss of forests contributes between 12% and 17% of annual global greenhouse gas emissions.
Another environmental issue we are facing today is water pollution. What is water pollution exactly? Water pollution is any chemical, physical, or biological change in the quality of water that harms any living thing that uses, drinks, or lives in it. Why should we care? Water takes up 71% of the Earth's surface and 70% of the human body. Water pollution affects our own well-being. Drinking or swimming in polluted water can cause health issues such as skin rashes, cancer, typhoid fever, stomach system issues, and problems with our reproductive system. Also, industrial chemicals, agricultural pesticides, metals, etc. that contaminate aquatic environments later show up in fish that we eat. Even mercury, which is mostly poisonous to small children and women. 40% of America's rivers and 46% of America's lakes are too polluted for fishing, swimming, or aquatic life. Aquatic animals mistake plastic garbage for food. 90% of all trash in the ocean is plastic. It takes plastic bottles 450 years to decompose, and plastic bags take 200 to 1,000 years to decompose. More than 1 million seabirds and 100,000 marine mammals die every year from ingesting our plastic. Water pollution affects wildlife reproduction. Pesticides contaminate groundwater that wildlife use and cause damage in their reproduction. It also increases water temperatures, which then destroys ecosystems. Warmer water also makes water species leave the area to find a cooler area, which causes a damaging ecological shift in the affected area. Sewage, fertilizer, and agricultural runoff has organic substances that increase algae growth largely, which decreases oxygen. The lack of oxygen kills organisms in the area and also upsets the natural ecological balance in rivers and lakes. What causes water pollution? Sewage. Sewage that comes from households, factories, and commercial buildings. Sewage that is treated in water treatment plants is usually disposed into the ocean. People that flush chemicals and pharmaceutical substances down the toilet. People littering solid waste into rivers, lakes, and oceans. Waste from factories that use fresh water to carry waste from the factory into rivers. Pollutants for this are usually asbestos, lead, mercury, and petrochemicals. In developing countries, 70% of industrial wastes are dumped untreated into waters where they pollute the usable water supply. Oil spills. How do they happen? Oil spills usually happen due to accidents with tankers, barges, pipelines, refineries, and storage facilities. They're usually caused by people making mistakes or being careless, equipment breaking down, natural disasters such as hurricanes, deliberate acts by terrorists or countries at war, or people dumping illegally. Oil floats on salt water and often floats on fresh water. Heavy oil can sometimes sink, but that's pretty rare. It spreads rapidly across the surface of the water, which creates a thin layer called an oil slick. Once it has spread so far that it becomes an extremely thin layer, it's called a sheen, which is what usually looks like a rainbow to most of us. Oil spills are very harmful to marine birds, mammals, fish, and shellfish. Here are some examples. Here's an example of a pelican at a cleanup for an oil spill. Pretty sad. Other causes for water pollution include burning fossil fuels into the air, which causes the formation of acidic particles in the atmosphere, and when they mix with the water vapor, it creates acid rain. Also, underground storage tanks made before 1980 are made from steel pipes and are directly exposed to the environment. Over time, the steel corrodes and it causes leaks that affect the surrounding soil and groundwater that the storage tanks are in.
One of the organizations we researched was the SOSF. Save Our Seas Foundation is a large community that started out as a small nonprofit organization funding about 5 projects. They have since grown into a major player in the fight to save the world's oceans and the wealth of the marine life that those oceans contain. While the SOSF itself is not a research institute, it contributes financial, practical, and scientific support. This subculture created by the Save Our Seas Foundation aims to not only educate adults but also children. These children are our future consumers and policymakers, so by educating them about the nature and importance of our oceans and the very real threats to our marine ecosystem, they can use their power to make a difference. SOSF believes that only if both the future as well as present stakeholders understand and care about these issues, they can play a part in preserving the ocean's fragile health. REACH, aka REACH, is SOSF's multifaceted approach which ensures that the projects they are funding have a positive impact across a wide audience. The R is for research. Research is the cornerstone to this foundation. Their scientists work in collaboration with one another to enhance and broaden their knowledge. The more they understand about the oceans and the threats facing them, the better able we will be to protect them. The E is for education. Education is vital to long-term success. By inspiring young people to fall in love with, to respect, and to learn to act in a more responsible manner towards the ocean, we create the guardians of the future. The A is for awareness. Awareness campaigns inform the general public about the threats to the ocean. The more people that know about the crucial issues, the greater the likelihood that they will want to be a part of the solution. The C is for conservation. Conservation is the ultimate aim. Whether it's saving a species from extinction or preserving a vital habitat, their goal is to return the oceans to their once healthy, abundant state. The H is for holistic. Holistic implementation is at the heart of all the programs. Just as the oceans form one interconnected system, by integrating their research with education, awareness, and conservation projects, they can both be more effective and efficient in everything they do. This really shows how the whole really is greater than the sum of the parts. With support comes accomplishments. With that being said, since 2003, the Save Our Seas Foundation has sponsored more than 160 projects in 42 countries in the areas of research, education, awareness, and conservation. This organization can be seen as a role model to anyone. Their achieved status in the animal and habitat conservation world is tremendous due to their outstanding accomplishments. Overfishing and predator loss are 2 very large issues that the SOSF likes to focus on. To help with this extremely large problem, the SOSF is educating the public about putting pressure on the government, establishing and expanding marine protected areas, and better monitoring and policing of the fish trade. By better monitoring the policy of the fish trade, SOSF believes that it will help with illegal fishing. There is a considerable lack of accurate fisheries data, particularly for non-commercial species landed as bycatch. And so much of our understanding of the top-down impacts of marine predator loss remains limited to the speculations of mathematical modeling. In developed areas, compliant fisheries management and Coast Guard policing have experienced some dramatic recoveries of fish population. The bad news is that most overfishing takes place in the waters of poor countries where there is no adequate regulation or policing. Areas where rogue fleets, some of which hail from developed countries, equipped with high-tech ships that can poach without consequences. That is why the SOSF finds it so important to spread the word about overfishing and predator loss. By raising awareness, the SOSF synergy could impact the whole world. Better monitoring and policing of the fish trade, putting pressure on the government about these issues could create limits on the number of fish caught for established and individual fisheries and change the fishing methods for most bycatch by either modifying them to make them less harmful or even making them illegal.
Another threat that the SOS Foundation works to keep at bay is the climate change phenomenon. While many people hear the words global warming and automatically think about CO2 emissions building up in the atmosphere, SOSF tries to draw more attention to the other main regulator of our global climate, the oceans. The oceans absorb up to half of all human CO2 emissions. Their heat capacity is nearly 1,000 times that of the atmosphere. They absorb the heat in the summer and release it in the winter. It is this that helps to moderate our climate more gradually. But human-caused climate change is hindering this process by making the oceans warmer and more acidic. If this is left unchecked, this will continue to drastically alter our climate and the marine ecosystem. Fish and shellfish thrive in specific water temperatures, and they may not be able to survive in changing temperatures. Also, phytoplankton, which feed the whole food chain, are being affected. When the base of the food web is disrupted in this way, all other species are affected, including those at the top, like whales, sharks, seals, tuna, and even people. Phytoplankton also have a more direct effect on life because they perform about half of all photosynthetic activity, which provides a large amount of our breathable oxygen. The SOS Foundation is taking steps to fight against this unnatural climate change. As they gather knowledge using applied research, they are discovering the most effective ways of solving this problem. Their two main avenues are raising awareness about cutting worldwide CO2 emissions and by researching the effects of ocean warming and acidification. A current project that they are funding is the work of Dr. Jason Hall Spencer, who works around volcanic undersea vents which reveal data about ocean acidification. By putting too much pollution or environmental contaminants into the ocean, humans are threatening to permanently alter the ocean and all the life within them. One of the most common pollutants in our oceans is plastic. Estimates show that marine litter is now 60 to 80% plastic. Plastic is often mistaken for food by marine animals such as turtles, seabirds, and even the ocean's smallest animals. Marine pollution is not always visible. Sound is also a growing pollution which can interfere with many animals' navigation, feeding, and communication in the water. The SOSF is fighting against ocean pollution by raising awareness about it and by teaching people what it means to be eco-friendly with the products that they are buying and using in order to minimize their environmental impact. They are also funding pollution research projects throughout the world. The SOSF has started an environmental movement to improve the relationship between humans and ocean habitats. According to the UN, nearly 2/3 of the world's population lives within only 37 miles from the coast. With so many people, the coasts are being developed for industry and agriculture. However, this poses a problem for the 90% of all marine species which live in coastal areas. One threat to ocean life is the development of dead zones. Dead zones are areas along the coast where the water at the seafloor has become completely deprived of oxygen, and this kills off all life. The main cause can be attributed to excess nitrogen and phosphorus, which is found in fertilizer when it enters the ocean. One of the biggest dead zones is found in the Gulf of Mexico, where the Mississippi River dumps off its fertilizer-rich runoff into the ocean. The SOSF recognizes that further coastal development is inevitable. However, they do see a solution to the negative effects that come along with this. They are working to reverse dead zones by removing subsidies on fertilizer use to limit their use. They are also gaining legislative protection of ecosystems like coral reefs and mangrove forests through marine protected areas and reserves. Altogether, the Save Our Seas Foundation is making a positive impact on marine protection all over the world. They fight to keep the threats of overfishing, predator loss, climate change, pollution, and habitat destruction at bay by the funding of hundreds of research, conservation, and education projects worldwide. Not only do they improve marine life, but they are also positively affecting our lives through their work.
Another organization that we researched was WWF, which stands for World Wildlife. WWF's mission and vision is to conserve wildlife and reduce the most pressuring threats to the diversity of life on Earth. They want a future of harmony with wildlife and humans. A quote from their website was, "We seek to be the voice for those creatures who have no voice. We speak for their future. We seek to apply the wealth of our talents, knowledge, and passion to making the world wealthier in life, in spirit, and in living wonder of nature." WWF has worked in over 100 countries, supported by 1.2 million members in the USA and close to 5 million globally. They involve action from local to global. They ensure the delivery of innovative solutions that meet both people's and nature's needs. WWF works to conserve life on Earth by protecting its most exceptional ecosystems and habitats. The habitats and ecosystems are always rich in biodiversity. The countries that they work in are Asia, Africa, South America, and North America. Threats that they work with are bycatch. They fix them by modifying fishing gear so that fewer non-target species are caught or can escape. They aim to reduce bycatch so it is not harmful to the marine environment. They work with fisheries in helping develop and promote new technologies and gear for more efficient operations. Another one would be climate change. They urgently reduce carbon pollution and prepare for consequences of global warming. WWF works to advance policies to reduce climate change, engage with businesses to reduce carbon emissions, and help people and nature adapt to changing climate. For deforestation, they have been working to protect forests for more than 50 years. WWF works with governments, companies, and communities to promote certification for responsible forest management practices. They combat illegal logging, reform trade policies, and protect forested areas. For infrastructure, WWF works with governments, industries, and other leaders to encourage the consideration of sustainability in these efforts. This includes examining innovative ways to reduce environmental impact and protecting sensitive habitats that may be irrevocably damaged by these projects. They protect species by fighting to help and secure a future for the animals. They've helped bring back the Amur tiger and the African black rhino, which is on the edge of extinction. They try to keep habitats and landscapes thriving by working with people from community leaders to governments and multi-nation leaders. And here I have two graphs that show the decline in population from the African black rhino and the Amur tiger population. They influence policy by working to secure transformative change at all levels of government in the U.S. and overseas. They partner with and advocate for the U.S. government and foreign governments and international institutions to protect wildlife and their habitats. Transform businesses by seeking to protect while creating opportunities for business. They take a variety of steps to ensure our planet is able to house, feed, and clothe an increasing population while preserving our natural environment.